Hey, it's Natalie. I have had something weighing on my heart, and I just wanted to share it with you guys. I didn't want to type it out. I am moved by, and not moved, like not moved in a good way. Maybe it's a good way. I am hurting that there are so many people out there who are hurting. And my heart has just been stirred to maybe offer some hope, maybe say something that maybe would resonate with someone. Because regardless of where you fall and what you think is going on in this world and why people are so hurting and why people are so angry, or what we could do about it, I want to offer hope, which is, I believe, what we have. So I wanted to just say this, and I want to start with a story. And I've told this story before. Maybe you've heard it, maybe you've read it, I've written it out, but it's so precise. So when my son was, 7 or 8, he came home from school, got off the bus, came in, and I said, "Hey babe, how was your day?" And tears started to fall from his sweet little face. And he said, "Mom, why do all my friends have girlfriends and I don't have one?" So cute. But I couldn't giggle and I couldn't smile because you know what? He was hurting. Like it was real pain to him. His heart hurt. This was something he wanted so bad and didn't understand why everybody else was having girlfriends, but he didn't have a girlfriend. At 7 or 8, who even knows what a girlfriend is? And of course me, his mom, I knew it's not a big deal. But he didn't know that. Like his little world, that was important and it was painful. And so for me as his mom, what do you say? Because you know it's not a big deal, but it's real to him. And I just hugged him and had his little head in my lap and pet his little head. And I said, "Babe, I need you to trust me. You're going to be a big, strong, handsome boy one day. And you're going to have plenty of girlfriends. And one day, you're going to get that at 7, a girlfriend isn't really a big deal. And it's not going to matter. And we're going to laugh that this conversation ever happened. And because you don't know that, like that's not what your world is telling you right now. Your world is telling you this is painful. But I need you to believe me that this is okay and it will be fine." And when he was 18 or 19, after he had a brain injury, his football scholarships were lost, and he was hurting. And at that point, at 18, that was his world. Scholarships were gone, college, didn't know what he was going to do. He had always planned to go play football for college. And so after his brain injury, and scholarships were gone, that was his world. And that's what was hurting. And he came to me again and he said, "Mom, what am I going to do? When does this stop? When does this pain stop?" And for whatever reason, I didn't know again. I knew that when he's 30, he probably wouldn't be playing college football when he was 30. But at this point, at 18, man, that was his world. And it was painful and it was real to him. And even though I'm, now 40 or whatever, and I knew that it wouldn't be the big deal that it is today down the line, I knew that now it's a big deal. And for whatever reason, God brought back to me the 7-year-old him, and I said, "Babe, do you remember that conversation we had when you were 7 and you didn't have a girlfriend?" And he kind of smirked. In the middle of his pain then, he smirked at the thought that the 7-year-old him was so sad over not having a girlfriend. And he said, "I didn't even remember that. Oh my gosh." And we kind of had a good little giggle. And I said, I don't know how this is going to play out. But what I do know is that down the line, this won't be the big deal that it feels like it is today. And I'm going to need you to trust me on that. Just like I needed you to trust me then, even though you didn't understand it, I'm going to need you to trust me now that down the line, this isn't going to be a big deal. And today, in fact, yesterday, he called me because he was talking to somebody about something that was a big deal in their world, who was younger than him. And he said, Mom, if I could just get them to see, I'm having a hard time because that's not a big deal. And they don't get it that that's not a big deal. And I said, we're compassionate because you remember you? He said, yeah, I know. Things just aren't a big deal. Anyways, so he's down the line now, looking back at 18, saying that wasn't a big deal. Laughing from 18, looking back at 7, saying that wasn't a big deal. And you want to know something? Let me tell you what God says. I wrote down some reading that I was doing this morning. 2 Corinthians 4:17. Sorry, I'm looking away from the camera, but this is what God says. For our light and temporary affliction is producing for us an eternal glory that will far outweigh our troubles. 2 Corinthians 4:17. God calls this, whatever this is, light and temporary affliction. It's light. In the scheme of eternity, this is light and temporary, and you have to know that. And it doesn't feel like that now, but God is saying, you have to trust me. This is light. And when you get to eternity, you're going to look back and you're going to wonder, you're going to say, that was that? I was worried about that? I can't believe how much attention I gave to that. It was so little. This is what 1 Peter 4:13 says. Rejoice that you share in the sufferings of Christ, so that you may be overjoyed at the revelation of his glory. Rejoice that you get to suffer, because your suffering today, man, glory is going to be amazing. It's going to be amazing. And you can, in your suffering, whatever it is today, in your suffering, you can rejoice. You can be joyful because that's coming. And you can trust God says, listen to me. You will rejoice. I love what Paul says. I have quoted this to small groups, to my ladies, to my son, to people on Facebook, typed it out. I love this. God is saying right now, he's saying to you, listen to me, trust me. I know this is what you're going through, but listen. Want to hear? I consider that our present sufferings are not comparable to the glory that will be revealed to us. Whatever you're suffering now, it doesn't even compare. Whatever's coming, and I don't know what it is, but I know it's going to be amazing. I consider that the present sufferings, today's sufferings, and let's think about this for a minute. Today's sufferings, what are they? Sex trafficking, drugs, rape, kids murdered in schools, abandonment, fathers, abuse, physical abuse, murder, divorce. Think about it. Think about ISIS, beheadings. Those are the sufferings of this world. Those are the sufferings today. And God, through Paul, says these present sufferings are not comparable to what's coming. Today's sufferings are going to, in light of eternity, look like a 7-year-old crush. They just are. And that doesn't lessen the hurting today, but it gives you hope that it's not the big deal that it feels like it is. And then God says this, just to put our hearts like just to give us some peace. He says, I will create a new heaven and a new earth. New earth, and one that this doesn't happen. I will create a new heaven and a new earth. And the past, talking about today, because today's going to be the past will not be remembered, and it won't even come to mind. Can you believe that? When my son was 18 and was asking me, why does this hurt? He didn't even remember the 7-year-old him, and he laughed about it. He said, I can't believe. We still laugh about it because I still remind him of it, because whatever we're going through today, then is going to feel like a 7-year-old crush. You're not going to remember it. You're going to feel, not silly, but you're going to be amazed that ever caused you so much trouble. And the past is today. Whatever you're going through today, in the future, it's going to be little. It's going to be little. So I want to give you hope. I want you to know that it is going to be okay. And that heaven, the future, like glory is going to be so amazing that we're not going to think about today. It's not even going to come to mind. It's not even going to come to mind, because that's going to be so amazing. And you're not even going to think about it. And whatever it is, whatever it's like, the Bible says no eye has seen, no ear has heard, no mind can imagine what waits for us. Okay? You can't even conceive of it. So I want to give you this hope that we need to remember in the view of eternity, like what we're doing now. Like when you've been in eternity 100 years, you already have been there 50% longer than you lived this life on earth. When you're there 1,000 years, man, this life is going to get so much smaller, and eternity is eternal. It's forever. This life is going to get so small the longer we're there. So I would love for you to have an eternal view. Oh, that's my cue to get off. The dogs are barking. I want you to have an eternal view. I want you, when this life feels heavy, to think of eternity. All right? I do. I want you to think of that. I want it to give you hope, and I want it to give you peace, and I want it to make you smile. And so that's what I wanted to offer to you today. That's my thoughts. Because people are hurting, and it's our job to go give them what we have, and that is this. We have eternity, and it's coming. It's coming. In the end, we win.